Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Becky, and I want to start by talking a little bit about telepathy. I had someone that was asking me about that and kind of how it works, and I'm not going to go too in depth to it because I like to stay more with mental illness and mental wellness and of the ascension process, and that's kind of my target area. But with the telepathy, and if you want to schedule a free consultation, I can answer other questions. You can schedule that at homens.consulting@gmail.com so we can talk about your situation and how I might be able to help you out. But with the telepathy, the reason why I keep my caseload small is because when people are in a panic situation, I'm neurologically, my auric field is, my body becomes kind of like electronically connected to the clients, and we respect the boundaries, because if not, I cut contact, I cut my auric field off, you get no services, we're done, you're on your own, good luck. Okay, I've learned my lessons enough, and the bleeding heart has been cauterized, and I'm not dumb anymore. And I want to be able to help people, but not at the cost of my own life, and that's kind of where I'm at now. I've been helping way too many people that now want to kill me because they want to, anyway, so destiny swapping and all that stuff. You can check that out in a different video. Back on track. Okay, the other thing that I was going to talk about was mental health care matters. So getting back on track with my mission, which is to prevent suicide, spousal abuse, and child abuse. That is the core mission. And then I want to help these star seeds get launched appropriately within their divine mission timing, and that can happen at any stage of life. And I want to be a support system. Oh, so before I get to this, with the telepathy, I keep my caseload small because when you are working with me, I emotionally can feel what you're feeling. So even though we're talking through a computer screen, I am part of the grid. So I'm part of the camera. I am part of, everything that you see here. I am part of you. So like, I know it's kind of freaky for some people to understand, and if you don't get it, then I'm not your person, and you can say I'm crazy all you want, but please keep on moving to a different person, right? Different messenger. These are for people that understand and resonate with me. So with the telepathy, I try to keep my channel clear so that way I can hear what the divine is saying, because it is hard. With the divine is way up here, right? Like way up here. Well, collective consciousness is coming through here, right? So I got all this noise that I have to meditate, get myself in a zone, and I have to be able to kind of put a bridge between me and God and kind of block out everybody's noise. And so when you're connected to me, when you're directly working with me, when you're around me, right, blessings flow. They do. And so I have to remember that I have to stay connected with divine in order to know who's he's navigating to get what blessings. Okay, I'm not in control of this, the divine is. And then the divine will bring someone to me, and then we have a discussion. Within that discussion, afterwards, I pray and I meditate, and then God tells me what the next step will be. And then we will decide if we're going to dance for a little while, if you can afford my services, for the wisdom that I offer, and the energy medicine that I can provide. Okay? And if you want to know more about that, you can check out my LinkedIn. I've got all my degrees, I got the current ones that are important. I got a whole bunch of others, but the current ones are up there if you want to see what certifications and qualifications I've got for this. Okay? So let's talk a little bit more about mental health care, because it matters. Your brain is so important because that is how you experience the world. Your perception of a situation is not like any other person there. If you've ever been trained for any sort of like law enforcement or emergency room or a nurse or whatever, they will tell you that when you're trying to get a person to explain the situation, that you're going to get a different version of the same scenario from each person that is there. I forget what they call that, something about like the bystander effect, I think. And that is where everybody just assumes that somebody else is going to do it. Well, I know they need help, but like I can see that person's broke down and they got a flat tire, but I'm really too busy to stop. And you know what? Maybe the next guy's going to take care of it and I'm just going to keep on going. That's called the bystander effect. And when you're in a crisis situation, like you need CPR because they're unconscious and there's nobody around, like you don't get to make those kind of decisions lightheartedly. Well, mental health, you're dealing with, like I said, life or death situations. So mental health treatment includes therapy, medication, self-care, and they have made recovery a reality for most people experiencing mental illness. And although taking the first steps can be confusing or difficult, it's important to start exploring options. The average delay between symptom onset and the treatment, you're not going to believe this, 11 years. So we have a very bad habit of not taking care of our temple, not taking care of our vessel, not, really realizing how much we push this body without giving it the proper care that it needs to keep going. And then ultimately it leads to a deterioration over time. And they're saying usually when you start to see, oh no, things are starting to get on shaky ground here. I can keep it going. 11 years of being miserable until the point where you just snap. And one of the reasons why my ancestors and God gave me this vision of being able to do this business is because I have so much personal, professional, academic experience with being able to help people that are under marginalized and that are really trying to better themselves in order to be in alignment with their purpose. And because nobody wants to be without purpose. I mean, that's usually the underlying root of depression and then anxiety, worrying about everything. So when we're in our purpose, no matter how small, even when you can't do something major, everybody in your family is a piece of the puzzle, right? So it's kind of like a car. You can't go if you only have one wheel. You need it balanced in order for that vehicle to drive. Or if it's only a two, then maybe it's a motorcycle, maybe it's a bicycle. I don't know what vehicle you got. Maybe it's a minivan, station wagon. I don't know. All right, people who get treatment in a given year. We have 47% of adults in the U.S. have mental illness and receive treatment every year. It's almost half, guys. We have to change the way society's doing things. And those of us that might not have the PhD doesn't mean that we're not just as educated. And guess what? We've been connected with those people that have the PhD for decades. So what we don't know, we know where to find the answers. So those of us that have reached to the level of being fully on the new earth in the 5D, we're here for humanity. So we're going to work together, to be able to help everybody succeed in any way that we can. Okay, 65% of adults in the U.S. have serious mental illness. So 47 just have mental illness. So maybe they kind of have, a little breakdown every once in a while and maybe, nothing major. But 65% have serious mental illness. And the teenagers that I was working with, my heart. I love you guys. It's going to be all right. Okay, and then 51% is my target audience, my youth. Now, my audience is 15 to 30-year-olds, but for this, it's 6 to 17, a mental health condition. So 51% of our youth. And these numbers are projected to just keep increasing because of the way the 3D matrix game system, whatever we want to call it, is. Adults with mental health diagnoses who received treatment or counseling in the past year. We have, and again, this is going to be a breakdown of the different oh, wait a minute. Did I already do this? I think I've already done this chart. This is the same chart from my last video. So I will go ahead and do it again though, but I'm like, that's the same chart. Sorry about that. Okay, so it's a breakdown of the ethnic groups in the United States, and we have 25% of the Asian adults receive counseling or some sort of diagnosis and treatment for mental health issues. We have 36% of the Hispanic or Latino adults, and 39% of Black adults, 52% of white adults, 52% of adults who report that they are mixed or multiracial, and 56% of the lesbian, gay, and bisexual adults. For therapy to work, you have to be open to change. That's the key, guys. I could have all the wisdom in the world and I could give it to you for free. Believe me, I've been doing it, and people don't value it unless they pay for it. And I know that my prices probably I'm going to get complaints about, but the value you get is worth it. It's priceless, right? Your mental wellness, your family, staying alive, healthy, together, functioning as a unit, getting to enjoy experiences together, priceless. And then it says, I'm proud to say that I changed. Therapy saved my life. Be careful who you pick for who you talk to, because therapists can also destiny swap, or at least attempt to. Okay, and then I have common warning signs of mental illness. So diagnosing mental illness isn't a straightforward science. We can't test for it the same way that we can test blood sugar levels or diabetes. Each condition has its own set of unique symptoms. Those symptoms often overlap. Common signs and or symptoms can include feeling very sad or withdrawn for more than 2 weeks, trying to harm or end one's life or making plans to do so, severe, out of control, risk-taking behavior that causes harm to self or others, sudden, overwhelming fear for no reason, sometimes with a racing heart, physical discomfort or difficulty breathing, significant weight loss or gain, seeing, hearing, or believing things that aren't real, excessive use of alcohol or drugs, drastic changes in mood, behavior, personality, or sleeping habits, extreme difficulty concentrating or staying still, intense worries or fears that get in the way of daily activities. If you're worried about yourself or someone that you care about, well, I'm glad, because we do live in a world where some people don't care literally at all for anybody but themselves, unfortunately. So if you notice any of these symptoms that I had mentioned, make sure that you ask them questions. Just, strike up a conversation and see if you can get a sense, the vibe, the energy, the words that they're using, and see if you can pick up on anything. And then try to understand what they're experiencing and how their daily life is impacted. Just like you would with someone with Alzheimer's or the one with elderly care, you learn that you're not going to argue with them. If they are in their reality and, it's 12 o'clock and the sun's bright and they're saying it's time for bed, just let them take a nap then. You don't have to argue with them and tell them, no, look, the sun's out. Or their brain doesn't have the capacity to have all that information overload and take it and process it while it's trying to heal and get their needs met. So making this connection is often the first step to getting treatment. Just remember that knowledge is power. So you're going to talk with a healthcare professional when you feel that it's necessary in your journey, and there probably will be times where you might feel that you need to turn to an actual professional when things are at a significant level. Learn more about mental illness. So again, my big thing is education. So I want to be, a beacon of hope and light, and showing people that you can live the way that Jesus kind of modeled for us, and we're all sinners and nobody's a saint, and we're all just trying to figure things out together And I'm happy to be able to help you if you want a free consultation. You could take mental health education classes, and like I said, I have a 7 steps to getting on the same page blueprint program. I also have a 90-day complete family mentorship, resolution mentorship program, and a year-long Starseed launch program that I'm starting. So I have also other services that we can, like other packages that we could talk about. If you only need me for 1 or 2 sessions, cool, then we can talk about that as well. You can also call the NAMI helpline at 1-800-950-6264, and that is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and they have like 24-hour helplines. I unfortunately am not available 24/7 to be able to handle crisis situations. I do not handle crisis situations. You will have to contact your local emergency people and your local team and whatever support systems that you've got inside whatever behavior plans or life plans that you have set up for you and your loved ones. But I am here for inspiration, information, and health, wealth, wisdom, in ways that I can help, and I look forward to talking with you in my next video. Have a great day.